YouTube, how's it going? Frogs Angels is back with another 2019 NFL mock draft updated. Thought why not? Players have declared. We got the official list, so it makes sense to do an updated one. We're going to have plenty of draft coverage throughout the offseason, as well as free agency coverage, all kinds of fun stuff here. We got some playoff picks on the channel and more to come. But let's get into this draft. Actually, right before, there's our Twitter at the top left, Frogs_Angels, link in the description. Check us out. Lots of good stuff there. Give us a follow. We also have a poll going right now to whether or not to change the name of the channel. So it's up to you guys. Help us out by following us and by voting. But let's get on to the draft here. Still got Nick Bosa at pick 1. Defensive end of Ohio State. This is a predict the pick for now. Maybe we'll talk about who I would take in the future, closer to draft time. But Nick Bosa, pick 1. Everyone's looking for that next elite pass rusher. This is what I'm predicting for now. I'm sticking with Quinnen Williams to the Niners as well. D lineman, can play D tackle, can move out to end as well. Too good to pass for the Niners. Elite prospect here. Niners fans probably getting sick of the D lineman they keep drafting, but you might have to do it. You just might have to do it. He's a heck of a ball player, so makes sense. Pick 3, a little bit of a change here. Jets taking Rashan Gary, D lineman. D lineman's not fair. It should say D lineman, D end, edge rusher. Could say any of that. That's how good Gary is. That's what he can do. He can play multiple positions out of Michigan. And why not a guy like Josh Allen, you might ask, who I had in pretty much every mock draft? Well, the Jets are bringing in Greg Williams, defense coordinator from the Browns. He's more known as a 4-3 guy. The Jets have been running a 3-4. Josh Allen is very talented. He can play a 4-3 DN. I'm not ruling that out, not ruling out the pick. I just see him fitting more as a 3-4 outside linebacker. We don't even know 100% if Greg Williams is switching this defense that much. I think it makes sense, honestly. I like, interesting to see what they do with Leonard Williams. I do like him as a 3-4 end, so that's unfortunate. But he can play a D tackle. Maybe he can play 4-3 D end. I like their linebacker group with 3. Darren Lee can play outside. And Avery Williams on the inside. So that makes a lot of sense to me. Darren Lee's been playing inside, but I view him more as an outside, and the 4-3 is what I'm getting at. But Gary fits in. He can be that edge rusher on the 4-3. He also can slide inside and be that D tackle. He's very talented. Number 4, the Raiders take Ed Oliver, D lineman, Houston. Could pair him with Maurice Hurst for the future. That's a damn good duo. Everyone's looking for that next Aaron Donald, too. Oliver's got a little bit in him. A little bit. So I think Mayock will like him. Pass rush from the interior is so important, and that's what you get with Ed Oliver. The Bucs get a good pick here and take Josh Allen, the edge rusher from Kentucky, freak athlete, gets after the quarterback, and pretty much the opposite of the Jets, and they happen to get their defense coordinator in Todd Bowles. So he's a 3-4 guy. The Buccaneers were a 4-3 guy. I'm not ruling out they keep the same scheme, but most likely the scheme will follow the coach. So Josh Allen fits at the 3-4 outside linebacker. They're going to have to retool this defense to fit the scheme. That's going to be the tricky part. I do like Vita Vea in there at nose for the Bucs, so I like that draft pick even more now, actually. I think he can work in either defense, but that makes a lot of sense. So get a guy like Josh Allen in there. It's going to be fun to watch their pick, Vita Vea from last year, and a guy like this. 6, Giants take Dwayne Haskins, quarterback, Ohio State. Known as the best quarterback in the draft. I almost want to put Locke back here because I just see Locke maybe more of a Shermer guy, but Haskins maybe the safer pick. Maybe a guy that has more potential, more boom in him. So I'm sticking with Haskins here, but it's tough. It is going to have to adjust. Maybe he sits a year behind Eli. Maybe they try to get Nick Foles. Free agency is going to change a lot with this draft. Whoever gets Nick Foles probably isn't taking a quarterback. Most likely in the first round is not taking a quarterback. But I'm sticking with Haskins to the Giants. I like Haskins a lot. I worry about this draft class for the quarterbacks. People say it's bad. There's quite a few guys that can go in the first round. There's no elite talent. It's not fair saying it's bad, but what I really worry about with these quarterbacks is if they're under NFL pressure, going against NFL pressure. They've had pretty good offensive lines. They've had time to throw. A little different in the NFL. So can they handle it? 7, I got the Jags going Drew Lock, quarterback, Missouri. I think as we get closer, I think Drew Lock will start to get more hype. He's got the tools. He's got the arm strength. If he gets into an NFL system, NFL room there, coaching room, I think they can fix him up and he can be something else. So I think because of the tools he has, the arm strength he has, I think he'll be getting some more talk as we get closer here. The Jags will like him. They need a quarterback. Makes sense to me there. The Lions go Clelin Ferrell, defensive end Clemson. He can fit that defense. Ziggy was disappointing because he's hurt. He was hurt, and when he gets in there, didn't really do too much. Might be going elsewhere as a free agent. Clelin Ferrell, perfect fit there, and they would be foolish to pass on him at that point. Moving on to the next 8. I got the Bills sticking with Cody Ford. I like him a lot for the Bills. He can play right tackle or right guard instantly for them, and they got to keep Josh Allen protected. Broncos, thought about quarterback here. I like the Drew Lock fit. He's off the board. They need a corner pretty bad. Fangio will realize that. He'll want a defensive player. Byron Murphy is the corner, I think, as we get closer. Scouts and teams will fall in love with because he's got the technique down. It's perfect. It's some stuff you can't coach. You just got it or you don't, and he's got it. So I think I think teams will like him a lot. So they fill a need there. They got some solid guys, but definitely need another corner. And they could use a quarterback too. But I like Keenum. Give him another shot possibly. Pick 11, the Bengals go Devin White, linebacker, LSU. They could use a quarterback. I actually like Kyler Murray going here, but I don't know if they do it. I don't know if they actually pull the trigger there. Devin White might be too good to pass as well, though. Dominant linebacker, all over the place, can blitz, can cover. Really good at reading plays. He's dominant. So the Bengals could use another linebacker like him. Pick 12, the Packers take Montez Sweat, the athletic edge rusher from Mississippi State. Packers need an athletic edge rusher. It's as simple as that. They need a pass rusher in general, but athletic guy in this will change things up, and it's exactly what they need. The Dolphins go with Kyler Murray. A little bit of a bold prediction here. I think he goes somewhere in the first. I think teams will write him off because of the size, his height, I should say. I think I don't know if teams will like that he could leave for baseball at any time. That might scare teams away. Talk about players that fall from the combine, and it's not because their numbers. Well, it's because the meeting. The meeting is the most important thing with teams. They test these guys for their passion about the game, and it matters, and I understand it. So we will see. We'll learn a lot about him at the combine, but there's going to be teams that want to take that next step, go towards where the NFL is heading, and they'll take a guy like Kyler Murray. I can see a team like the Dolphins doing it, depending on who's their coaching staff. Still got to wait and see that. Falcons take Jonah Williams, offensive lineman, Alabama. Offensive line was not the same as it used to be this year, so they'll take one of the top guys here. Redskins go Daniel Jones, quarterback at Duke. Maybe a little early, but they need a quarterback if Alex Smith is indeed, can't go. I think that's what it is, or how it's going to be, unfortunately. Daniel Jones, to me, seems like a good replacement. Seems like a Jay Gruden guy, not like some of these other guys really don't fit. I think he kind of sticks with kind of his own style quarterback, but Daniel Jones also brings, the new, a little bit of the new style too. You could compare him to Nick Foles a little bit. Nick Foles is a veteran. He's been playing in pro style, kind of adapted, kind of took on this little bit of RPO. Daniel Jones seems the same way to me. He can be a pro style guy with a little bit of RPO, and he can move around too for a big guy. So, he's not going to wow. Maybe 15's a little early, but it's quarterback. I don't think the quarterback class is weak as anybody's saying. There's some solid guys. There's just no elite. Everyone's always looking for elite, and what's programmed into people's head is Tua next year and Trevor Lawrence. Pretty much all the talk is Trevor Lawrence, and they're thinking about that guy. They're looking at these guys. There isn't one of those guys in this draft class, but that's okay. There's guys that can start. There's guys that can be good. There's 5 guys, maybe even 6 that could possibly be first-round quarterbacks. So people need to stop hating on it. I understand there's no elite guy, and maybe some of these guys will struggle right away or with pressure, but, I like some of these guys. 16, the Panthers take Greedy Williams, corner, LSU. Could use a pass rusher a little more, but Greedy Williams too good to pass, and pair him with Dante Jackson. That makes a lot of sense to me. That could be a good duo. Moving on. The Browns take Christian Wilkins, D lineman, Clemson, another top-notch D lineman. The good one, the really good ones are pushing the other really good ones down, as you can see here. So kind of completes that D line for the Browns, make it dominant for the future. The Vikings go Jeffrey Simmons, D lineman, Mississippi State. Guy that can play D tackle. He can play nose. So maybe he can be the future replacement of Linval Joseph or Sheldon Richardson from right away if they lose him in free agency. So interesting here. I think he can fit. I think Zimmer will like him a lot. You may say, why no O-lineman? I just don't think the Vikings like taking O-lineman in the first round. They haven't really picked early in a while. They did with Matt Khalil, and that kind of failed on him, even though he looked pretty good at first. So I just don't. Maybe if they had a really high pick on a sure thing, they would. But other than that, I think they like to wait to the second or third round. They got Brian O'Neill in the second round. It looks good from last year. But I also think they'll retool the offense line in free agency. It's not the strongest free agency class, but it's solid. And I think with the new coaching staff in there, they got Kubiak. I think those guys will know what free agents they like and which guys can fit. So I think they'll do that, and they'll draft a guy or two here in the draft, but maybe not in the first round. It's very possible, but they would love to have a guy like Cody Ford, but I don't think he's going to be there. Simmons is a solid defensive lineman for them. 19, the Titans take N'Keal Harry, wide receiver, Arizona State. Way too good to pass on. He should go higher in this, but I think he'll drop a little bit because teams are kind of scared of receivers, it seems like. But Harry's the total package. He's got the size, he's got the hands, he's got the jump ball ability, he's got the run after catch ability. I think he's faster than what people give him credit for. I've seen comparison of Alshon Jeffrey. I do not agree with that one bit. Maybe the hands and the size, but when do you see screen passes thrown to Alshon Jeffrey and him running all over the field? And it makes no sense to me. I think two totally different players. Maybe size and hands, about it. Harry, I like a lot. Titans pair him with Corey Davis, makes a lot of sense. 20, the Steelers go DeAndre Baker, corner, Georgia. I also think he's worthy of better than the 20th overall pick. Maybe it's the way the league's changing. You maybe want the faster guys at corner. The lockdown guys with good size like DeAndre Baker. Maybe that's starting to go away a little bit. But I think he can make plays. I think he can be a playmaker. I think he's a heck of a ball player. Steelers could use a corner like that. Seahawks go Brian Burns, defensive end from Florida State. Got the chance of watching some of him the other day. Very fun to watch. He's got that outside dip move. It's kind of similar to Harold Landry last year, who I liked a lot. I like Landry's outside move a little better, but Burns has got a good inside spin. You see outside spins a lot. He's got a good inside spin to the quarterback, good at recognizing plays, good at recognizing who's got the ball, could fit today's NFL. Against today's NFL's offenses, I should say. So he could potentially go earlier in this. I like him at the Seahawks because even with Frank Clark, they can use another guy out there, but Frank Clark is also a free agent. Pass rush is key. Everyone knows that. So, he can replace or he can be added on and start. Ravens go Dexter Lawrence, D-lineman Clemson. Is it a need? Not really. The Ravens like going defense. That's their belief. And it's hard to see a team like that passing up on Lawrence, and maybe a little bit of a need. Maybe it's guys for the future, guys that can rotate in now. They're going to keep that defense elite so it can compete next year, while the young offensive talent like Lamar Jackson will improve. They have belief. You expect them to improve, and it's always good getting weapons like receivers or running backs later in the draft. Not necessarily late, but later in the draft, and it ended up working out. So makes sense there. 23, the Texans take Dalton Risner, offensive lineman, Kansas State. Solid offensive lineman, can play tackle and possibly can play guard too. Texans could try him out at tackle right away. Could be a guy like Greg Little here too. They're going to be looking for linemen. Raiders take DK Metcalf, wide receiver at Ole Miss. Freakish guy, great hands. Seen him catch the ball with one hand. Deep ball threat, jump ball threat. You would like to see more game footage of him maybe running more routes, different style routes, maybe underneath stuff. You don't see too much of it. Really just a deep ball guy, so that is the big risk, but he's a freak guy for his size. Freak. So, with Carr, I think they'll like him a lot. I still think he's a first-round receiver. Teams take a chance on him. I like DK Metcalf. It's a little risky for the reasons I explained, but I like him. 25, the Eagles go Trayvon Mullen, corner, Clemson. They've had injuries in the secondary. Some guys have stepped up, actually been impressive, but it's still a weak point. They could use a pass rusher as well because some guys are free agents, but Mullen should go here. Colts go Julian Love, corner, Notre Dame. I like the fit here. I like Julian Love because he can play, I think he can play outside corner, he can play slot corner, physical kid. He's pass deflection machine, the last 2 years. I think he led 2 years ago. He was up there this year. Sometimes downfield he does get turned around, so I always had him early second round, which we're getting pretty close to early second round, but I think the Colts will like him. I think it'll be a good pair with Quincy Wilson. If you have to, you can slide him in the slot, and it's still a win situation because he can play well there. So I like him going to the Colts. Raiders go Ja'Kai Polite, edge rusher from Florida. They need an edge rusher. Got him taking Ed Oliver and a receiver. Now they go with that pass rush, which they desperately need. Polite, very good pass rusher. He's got good moves. It could use some work in the run game, which, obviously the pass game is more important in today's NFL, but I think he could go to the back of the first round because he does need work with his run-stopping abilities. 28, the Chargers go Devin Bush, linebacker, Michigan. Not far off for Devin White in terms of, what he can do. Kind of all over the field, good at reading plays, good at blowing them up. Chargers, they've been playing with a lot of DBs. We've seen them play with that in the playoffs. We thought it was the game plan against the Ravens, and we thought it was a good game plan, and it really was. But then the same thing showed up against the Patriots, and that's not a good game plan. So maybe that was just the game plan for the playoffs in general. Maybe because they don't really have the best linebacker room. Everything else looks very solid. So Devin Bush could be used in there so they don't have to play with so many DBs. Patriots go at Marquise Brown, wide receiver, Oklahoma. This one makes a lot of sense to me. Maybe a little bit surprises a lot of people. But their weapon's been great this year, but I believe Philip Dorsett, Chris Hogan, and yes, Cordero Patterson are all supposed to be free agents. Not the best of their talents at the position, but a lot of guys that are the speed guys, the shifty guys, the receivers that run underneath stuff. So Marquise Brown not only can do all that, but he can go downfield too. So pair him with Edelman and the other weapons makes a lot of sense to me. They traded away Brandon Cooks. This could be your Brandon Cooks here. It makes sense. The Rams go Jerry Tillery, D lineman, Notre Dame. Maybe not the biggest need, but you are going to lose Ndamukong Suh. People say maybe Tillery has a little Aaron Donald in him. Maybe he's a poor man's Aaron Donald, so get another one opposite him. Makes a lot of sense there. Had pretty good pass rush productivity this year, and can stop the run. Chiefs go Deontay Thompson, safety, Alabama. Yeah, they need a DB pretty bad. Deontay Thompson is easily the best safety in this weaker draft class. I was very high on him during the season. His range just stands out on tape. He reading plays and going from one side of the field to the other. Seen him play center field here and there. Can do a lot, but the last few games, he didn't have bad game. Not trying to say that, but not super impressed the last few games against the better competition they played all year. But still a first-round safety, still the best in the class. Packers go T.J. Hawkinson, tight end, Iowa. I didn't think he was going to declare. This is definitely one of my favorite tight ends, maybe my favorite tight end in the draft class. Love watching this kid. Really could do it all. Really could do it all. Can line up anywhere, can block, can run routes. You can hand him the ball, and I think he fits the Packers. It's an Iowa guy. The Packers like these Big Ten guys. Jimmy Graham was very disappointing. Even with him, you could use a guy like this. Makes sense to me. They definitely need a weapon, and I thought he was going to go back to school. He declares. I'm excited about it. I think he could sneak in the first round here. So there's my mock. Wanted to sneak Will Grier in here. Couldn't quite do it. He's a tough one. I like Will Grier. Just really the same play over and over again for West Virginia, kind of just throwing deep, and his deep ball is great. Maybe the mechanics, maybe the way his feet are, the way he throws aren't going to excite a lot of teams. So some teams I think will really like him, but will they have number one on their receiver big board or QB big board? Probably not, but they could have him up there. And there's teams that aren't. They're gonna hate him really. I really think that. So I think that can make him slide to early second. There's a lot of other guys that can sneak in here. If you have any questions, go to our Twitter, frogs_angels. Comment on here. We can talk about different prospects. Again, plenty of draft coverage as the offseason goes on. Favorite time of the year, NFL draft. We got free agency stuff coming too. But for right now, mainly just updated mock drafts here and there, and a lot of playoff talk, a lot of playoff predictions. So check all that out. We got Friday night live streams, lots of good stuff. So that's going to do it. We're getting real close to our subscriber goal. Thanks to everyone out there. But if you haven't clicked that subscribe button, please do so. We're trying to get to 10K. And clicking that like button will be much, much appreciated as well. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.